Hello and welcome back to LFC Transfer Room. Back again with another stream and a preview ahead of tomorrow's big match against Arsenal. I'm really nervous for this one. But today I'm joined by Rigo and Drew. Rigo, first of all, how are you doing today?
Doing well, Owen. Doing well. Looking forward to tomorrow's match. Actually, gonna head out, go watch it with an Arsenal buddy of mine at a bar. So hopefully for a resounding win, and we continue the trend of kicking Arsenal's butt.
Drew, yeah. Rigo, you make a good point there about the record against Arsenal. I can't remember the last time we actually lost against Arsenal, especially away. It's felt like quite a long time, to be fair.
Yeah, they usually make more of a game of it when they're at the Emirates, but I think the stat is in 14 Premier League games, they've only won one. And I remember that being after we won the title. So I think everybody on the team was still hungover at that point. But I was talking with Rigo before the chat started. I have more Arsenal friends than any other fan base, so this is really the game I want to win every single year. Obviously, others too, Man United, Everton, but it's that personal grudge for me and Arsenal. So, like Rigo said, more wins for Liverpool. Let's keep the trend going. How about yourself, Owen?
That's actually surprising that more Arsenal fans. Is that kind of a thing in the States, maybe, or is it just sort of maybe just general thing?
That whole generation under Arsene Wenger and Thierry Henry. I don't know how many fans just became a Arsenal fans just because of Thierry Henry. So that typically is the number one memory as far as discussing with my buddies as far as how they became Arsenal fans.
The Arsenal generation in that era, to be fair. But yeah, I guess Liverpool, Man City now going forwards, 20 years time, we'll be seeing a lot more of them. And yeah, I think maybe Liverpool, yeah, we're not quite on the same level as Man City, I don't think, unfortunately, in that sense. But we've already got a massive fan base, haven't we, anyway? So, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. I'm nervous and I'm not as confident as I have been in the past game weeks because of how it's gone for us, and Reed's comment here. Arthur Mello. Yeah. Absolutely gutting news. I think we all seen it on Twitter. 3 to 4 months. Oh my God. We really can't catch a break, can we, Rigo?
We're catching too many breaks and tears. Apparently, that's the issue. Can't keep any of our midfielders fit. Even when we bring them at the last minute in the deadline, they seem to come broken already. So it's quite a shame. I know from all reports he was trying to work himself into shape, but apparently he overdid it, and according to reports, it's a quad muscle, and best choice of action is going through surgery. So. By the time he's fit again, that'll be January. So I think we'll send him packing back to Italy. What do you think, Drew? What's the end result with Arthur here?
Yeah, I'm surprised, or maybe we'll hear it in coming hours that he'd just go back at this point. I don't know why. Long-term future at Juventus, or at least the contract-wise. Why he wouldn't go back to his parent club. I remember that happening, at least for our players, whenever they suffered massive injury. It would be they'd come back to camp and get their fitness done there. But yeah, just the ongoing trend of midfielders getting injured for Liverpool. Thiago as well. Hopefully nowhere near as severe as Arthur, but looks like Thiago will miss the weekend against Arsenal. So God, just need to get some midfielders who can last 38 games plus for season in, season out. When seems like only yesterday Genie was in the lineup and Mr. Reliable, but never really replaced him. And I guess this is what we get.
Mr. Reliable is James Milner. Don't try and take that credit off him. That title is purely for him. But yeah, I think at this stage we just have to bring in a midfielder in January. I think even with Arthur, and even if he came in and hit the ground running, I still think we probably would have needed a reinforcement. But now with him, pretty much, because you look at it and think, well, he's already quite far away from match fitness as it is already, without an injury. So maybe he was getting closer. Who knows? Only Klopp will know that. But now with this injury on top of that, he hasn't even been playing regular game time already. So it's going to take him, I'd say it's going to be about 5-6 months before we could be seeing, and that's not even with any setbacks. Rigo, it's going to be a failed signing. I can't see a way in which, after he's played 30 minutes so far for Liverpool, I don't see how he ends up being a success at the club.
No, not at all. And the thing is, we paid $4 million, as they pointed out in the chat there, just for his loan, and that's just money down the drain. We basically had him for 13 minutes in that Champions League match where we're getting blown out by Napoli, and since then he had one appearance with the sub-21s, and he's done. So at least we got to see him in action for a short bit, which we can say more than Ben Davies, but. With Ben Davies, we at least made a profit when we sold him to the Rangers. So this is just a sunk cost. And if Liverpool don't have a move lined up, at the stroke of midnight, January 1st, then, what are we really doing here? We definitely need reinforcements, especially with the news that Thiago missed practice on Friday. So he's, as Drew pointed out, he's a doubt for tomorrow. So that puts us behind already. So we're probably looking at a combination of Fabinho and Henderson if we go to stick with our 4-4-2 formation that we showed against the Rangers midweek. But what are you guys thinking as far as what lineup are we going to throw out there if Thiago is not available?
Drew, I'll pass that to you.
Most likely just Fabinho and Henderson in midfield, I think, is the two pivot. And then I'd like to see pretty much the same against Rangers. I think the one swap would be Fabinho in for Thiago, but everything else the same for me. I know Robertson's too early for him coming back, but Tsimikas has earned the nod at this point. Excited to see what Salah does. I think he'll have a big game, especially since he got involved a lot more against Rangers in the midweek. And, hopefully Nunez hits the ground running and causes Arsenal's defense real problems, because I think that might be the way through to beat Arsenal is through their defense. I know they've had an amazing start to the season. Saliba looks like a hell of a player, but Ben White at right back for me doesn't seem as convincing. I know he's been having quality games and quality stretches in Arsenal as one of the leading players there, especially in defense, but I really like the odds of Diaz getting at him, and any of our attacking players love a goal against Arsenal. But what do you think the setup should be for Arsenal, Owen?
I think you have to go with the 4-4-2 that Klopp's talked about in the past few weeks, because seeing Darwin Núñez, Diego Jota, Mohamed Salah, and then Luis Diaz all play together, it was unbelievable. It was chaos, wasn't it? Like, there's a space everywhere, and that's the way you want to play. And then adding Trent Alexander-Arnold, Kostas Tsimikas as well, who I'm a massive fan of, into that equation, it can only work in our favour, in my opinion. So I think, just having that space in the midfield, and that, I don't know how Arsenal are going to set up. I remember last season when we played them, they played really, really well, actually. And we got really lucky to walk away with 2-0 win. History books will see it as a routine away win. But I remember they put on a lot of pressure. Gabriel Martinelli against Alexander-Arnold, he was really good that day. And so was Bukayo Saka, who another player to watch. And this time around, they've got a great striker in Gabriel Jesus to throw into that. So, I think giving them any chances, and we're going to be really, really struggling if we play how we have played in the past few weeks, because, we all know the start Arsenal have had. But I think setting up more attacking, it's like attack to defend is the best. No, attack is the best type of defense, if you know what I mean. And I think that literally will be the case in this game. But Rigo, 4-4-2 formation, what you say?
Yeah, definitely. I think we need to stick with it. The added benefit of that is that the guys we have pressing upfield are the ones who actually have legs and can chase the ball down and chase those players down, and allow the midfielders to kind of fill in the gaps and plug holes where needed, as opposed to trying to chase back. The added benefit of going with the 4-4-2 that we saw midweek is that Trent, instead of pushing forward as much and risking so much, pushing forward offensively and chancing things defensively, he was a little bit more reserved than he has been this campaign, and that allowed him to really dissect that defense and make those passes. So I think if we go with the 4-4-2, I think we'd be in great shape. I would keep Darwin and Jota up top. I would continue with that pairing. Nunez made some terrific runs opening up space, and the interchangeability between those four of Diaz, Jota, Darwin, as well as Salah being able to take different positions on the pitch, I think will cause Arsenal a lot of problems. I know Bobby Firmino has a terrific record and is one goal shy of actually setting the record for most goals against Arsenal for Liverpool. But I would keep him in reserve and kind of count on him in the second half to kind of keep that pressure and provide a little bit more defensive stability from our front two in the second half. But I would continue with the same lineup, likely with Thiago missing and Fabinho coming in his place.
Roberto Firmino, like, what an absolute player he is, and I think he's often gone under the radar in recent weeks. But we also remember he scored some really crucial goals for us. Well, I know he scored against Bournemouth in the 9-0. He scored 2 there, and he also scored 2 against Brighton, in which without those 2 goals, we would have lost the game. So I think, yeah, he's really, really important. And Jen, thank you as always. Oh, I think we just pulled it back. There we go. Really, really appreciate it. Yeah, run out of words at this stage, but yeah. And yeah, thanks everyone in the chat as well. Make sure you do leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. We really, really do appreciate it. It just helps us to bring more content. So yeah, as always, thank you.
Yeah, as you were saying, Owen, Bobby's our current leading scorer in the Premier League. He with a tally of 5, and with his goal scoring record against Arsenal, you would kind of think, probably start him. But what do you think? Should he go in, or should we keep the starting 2 that we had midweek?
I think Jota and Nunes work so well, and I think Nunes just needs a bit of confidence. Drew, do you think once he gets that first goal, it will be a case of how many he will get?
I hope so. I think that he definitely just needs to build up his confidence. So scoring as soon as possible, and I think consistency really is the answer. Getting him in the side consistently is probably the best way to pave the road forward for him being a real integral player to this team. Love Bobby. I think he definitely can do a job for us here and there. I always thought coming into this season that we shouldn't be relying on him to start game in, game out. I think he's past that stage at this point. I think he's lost a bit of sharpness, but that being said, he's the top scorer for us, and everyone loves Bobby. We know what he can do, and on his day, he can turn defenses inside out. And I love it when he does it to Arsenal. I still remember his hat trick quite fondly. But I think for this game going forward, I'd say you get Darwin in as much as possible. I think that's been a real Achilles heel for us. We've seen it in the midfield, but when Darwin got the red and Jota wasn't fit, not having a consistent squad week in, week out is really tough for building that that cohesiveness and that kind of creativity within the squad of getting used to who you're playing with. It's kind of been a mix and match week in, week out. So I think we really need to nail down the consistency for that, minus a few little tweaks. But Firmino off the bench is a really great option. So just whoever scores, we love scoring against Arsenal, and hopefully we get some new players on that sheet as well. But however we do it, this is really a must-win statement win for us to show what we have going forward in the season.
Riga, did you say you'd go with Darwin and Jota, or would you play Firmino? So I didn't quite catch that.
I'd keep it as we had midweek. I'd go Darwin and Jota. I think the 4, they did a marvelous job in kind of giving a lot of pressure to the Rangers. And if it wasn't for McGregor standing on his head and making quite a number of great saves, Darwin probably would have had 3 goals. 4 out of his 5 shots were on target. And as Klopp said in in one of his press conferences this week, Darwin in practice he's burying those chances. It's just he's probably rushing a little bit too much during actual matches. And once a couple of those go in, he'll start relaxing and just letting his natural ability take over and stop thinking about it and just doing it. And he'll start burying those chances, I believe, soon enough.
Absolutely. Enjoy.
I was just going to ask you guys, where do you think Arsenal can hurt us, and what do we need to keep an eye out for from their team?
With I think Owen kind of pointed it out earlier, that Gabriel Martinelli matchup against Trent on that side of the pitch it's going to be critical. Martinelli has the most take-ons completed in the Premier League this year, and that's something that, if Trent's in position, his defending one-on-one is really good. Stats-wise, he's up there with any of the right backs in the Premier League. But again, he has to be in position to to kind of defend. So hopefully we aren't caught back. Aaron Ramsdale, much like Allison, loves to play that long ball, so we have to be aware of that as well. And those second ball chances coming off of those, we need to make sure we jump on them. So definitely, I really hope we stick with that 4-4-2 because to me, I think we looked our best this season, bar that Bournemouth aberration this midweek against the Rangers as far as top to bottom attacking as well as defending. I thought all phases of play, we were pretty much on the money, and I hope that trend continues with this actual change in formation.
Martin Odegaard as well. I think he's a massive threat. Any sort of loose balls, edge of the box, and he will pounce on them. He's an absolutely fantastic striker of the ball. So I think he's one to watch out for. And yeah, I think Arsenal are just a massive all-round weapon nowadays. I know Drew said a while back that Arteta, and I think you're still standing by that opinion that Arsenal are a bit overrated, aren't as good as everyone says they are. I can't say I agree with you there.
I'll add a caveat to it, but I think this is the testing season for Arteta. I think last year was a huge underperformance from Arsenal to have, top four basically theirs and to blow it away in the last few weeks. It kind of showed a very weak mentality. And I think anyone who's seen the Arsenal documentary has seen how Arteta kind of steps up. It almost makes it seem like he'll take the spotlight in certain situations. I remember at Anfield when he came and he got in Klopp's face and yelled at him, like trying to spark up his team or whatever. That totally backfired, and we ended up crushing Arsenal. So I think there's some naivety there. I think there's a lot of you don't have the start of the season unless you've got the tactics down. You're a good manager. I'm not taking that away from him, and that's obvious. Knows how to build a team, but I'm wondering if there's a little bit of Brendan Rodgers in him, where he's got a lot of positives to him, but is he the complete package? He's missed out the past 2 years. I know Arsenal fans will say he's won an FA Cup, but that wasn't enough for Arsene Wenger to stay. So I'm meaning your expectations now kind of looks bad when you look at the hindsight of how they treated Arsene Wenger. But I'm always curious if Arteta is the man for the job forward, if he's going to be like the Brendan Rodgers, someone to kind of get in, change the ship a bit, and then ultimately leave it for someone like Klopp to take over. So I think this season's the real decider. But if you've looked at who Arsenal played, they lost to United and they beat Spurs. Spurs are a bit shaky at this point. They've had a great start, but they haven't really been tested. And if Liverpool goes and beats them, then questions will be raised. But they're a young team, they're growing, but this is really the make it or break it season for Arteta, and I still think he might be a bit lacking. We'll see though.
I always think though with Arsenal, they're always the type of team though to lose to those teams that you'd expect them to beat. So now the fact that they are going on to win those games, I think that's a real massive step for them, and will just genuinely help them step forward. I think. Rigo, do you agree with that? And by the way, as well, have you seen that little clip on Twitter of Arteta playing "You'll Never Walk Alone" at the training grounds? Because
yeah, definitely. I watched the Amazon Prime documentary on that and chuckled a little bit when it did get played. I think it feeds too much into the players and actually puts it in their head as opposed to trying to block it out when you give it too much attention. But as you're saying there, they do seem to be winning those matches where they are expected to win and are putting in a pretty good performance against the teams that are on their level or a little bit ahead of them. Them winning against the Spurs to me was a pretty big win, considering they fell short last year against them and really flopped against them in that big matchup towards the end of the season, where I believe Rob Holding got those two back-to-back yellows and got a red card before the half. So it is a big season for them. Only 2 of their wins have come against teams that are in the top half of the table. They have been beating the teams that they should beat in the bottom half of the table. So everything's looking promising, and they do have a 10-point cushion against us on the standings. They're currently in second with Man City, obviously winning behind their star-studded lineup there, and then Haaland again scoring. But I definitely think we need to win this match, considering we do play Man City the following weekend. and we need to go in there with some points in the bag. If we end up in a draw, or worst case scenario end up with a loss, we'll be pretty far behind on the standings already, and going in with a bad feeling as far as Premier League results are concerned. So we definitely need to walk out of the Emirates with a win. I don't think a draw is acceptable, and I hope we're right there from the opening whistle as far as the pressure is concerned. So I think the pressure, I think it's more on us with this actual matchup, just because of the start that Arsenal have come out with this season.
Yeah, totally. I think it's definitely a must-win. If we don't win this game, you can call off the league. I think if you even haven't called off the league already, because Man City, they just don't like losing. I genuinely think they could go invincible. And yeah, I don't think the odds would be that against it at all. Drew, do you think the league's still a possibility at this stage?
I mean, I don't like giving up hope until it's mathematically impossible. Who knows at this point? I'd say likely City are the runaway favorites, obviously. I don't think they'll let anyone catch up, but we beat Arsenal and we beat City in the next two matches. Things look a little different. I think it just takes those little hiccups to make you question, De Bruyne gets injured or Haaland gets injured. What does it look like? You have the World Cup midseason. There's so many potential speed bumps or roadblocks along the way that could happen to any team. So I wouldn't give up hope just yet. Although I'm not, buoyed or thinking like, oh, we're in a title challenge at this point. But I think at anything, you just need to play the next game, just win the next game. As cliched as it is, that's what Henderson was touting every single game. We won the league, and I think that's how you do it. Doesn't matter how good City are. If we win all our games, then we're in for a shout. So just focus on what we can do. But I am curious to see how Arsenal lines up against us in terms of how they start, because I know early in Arteta's reign, he played much more defensive and counter-attacking football, because I don't think he had the right personnel to really play the way he wanted. But it finally looks like his team this season, starting from Aaron Ramsdale and back all the way up to Gabriel Jesus up front. Do you guys think it's going to be a real battle from the off, where Arsenal just kick off firing and we're going to have to soak up that pressure? Or do you think it's going to be a bit more of like a close few jabs trying to warm up? How do you guys see the game unfolding?
I think they're going to be right from the get-go. Both teams are going to be throwing punches, a little bit of feeling out in that first round, a couple of jabs here and there, and just seeing where we stand. I expect Arsenal to come out with a back five. That's where they've lined up most this season. And it provides them with that good defensive base to kind of build out from the back as well. The thing to kind of look at is whether or not Zinchenko it will be available for them. I know he's done a massive improvement as far as them in building out that offensive scheme. He tends to drift inside and provide that extra man in the middle for them to kind of build through. And if he's healthy, he does provide an added dimension to them. I definitely expect them to come out firing. They're at the Emirates. They're started the week off in first place, and I'm sure Arteta has come up with some crazy analogy that they're a potato and they need to be versatile, and they could be mashed or fried or chipped, and they just need to be able to be amenable in any of those situations. And so I'm sure he'll have them fired up, but I don't know if that'll work to their benefit or ours. And the thing with us is we need to make sure that we don't concede that first chance and give them the opportunity to kind of build up on that momentum. That's been kind of our Achilles heel going back to last season, where it doesn't appear that we start playing until we're down already. And we definitely can't afford to do that against this Arsenal squad. They've leveled up as far as the talent that they have. And, even Xhaka is putting in tremendous performances week in, week out. He's up there as far as one of the leaders in chances created. He's scoring some really nice goals as well and being a leader for that squad. I know Odegaard's the captain now, but with Xhaka there and a couple of the incomings that they brought, I think they're a little bit more level-headed this season. And that kind of gives Arteta the opportunity to offload some of that job that he has as far as inspiring or keeping these guys in line. He has a couple of more guys that, are captain material, whether with their national team or previously in their career that can do the job for him. So big thing for us is absorbing any early pressure and making sure we don't concede first, and hopefully burying our opportunities when we do have them, because we tend to have a lot in that first half where we don't make that first goal, and then one pass goes through the midfield or over the top, and we're suddenly down 1-0. So hopefully we can get off that trend, score first like we did on Tuesday. What about you, Owen?
I totally agree with what you say there. And the thing that worries me as well is that the Emirates, last few years, it's been dead. Like, we can admit, they've been playing for nothing. Whenever we've been playing them, they've been playing for top 4, top 6, or whatever. They haven't been challenging, let's say. Now, going into this game, it's going to be buzzing. And last season, it was dead and we struggled there. So that does worry me, that given that first opportunity, it's going to be really, really hard for us to kind of get our grip in the game. And yeah, it could potentially be an ugly game for us. And I'm not going to lie, I am somewhat scared, because I think this game could potentially go very, very wrong for us. And the first goal for Arsenal, and look, whenever this season we've gone down 1-0, it has not ended well for us. And yeah, I think scoring the first goal is absolutely huge. Drew, do you agree with that? And do you think that we could try and find a way to go down and then come back? Because we've got to start making comebacks in games. We can't just go 1-0 down and kind of give up, can we?
No, and we usually have a pretty good record of picking up points from losing positions. I remember last year, was it like 6-7 times towards the end we had to start from 1 goal down, but you can't keep doing that. We've seen it this season. It's happened, and we haven't been able to turn it around completely in the end. So we can't ride our luck on that anymore. I'm curious with Arsenal though, because they do seem to be a team, or they have in the past and at some points in the season, where they get a goal or two up and then they bring the gears back down and let a team back into the match. We've seen that happen before. But I think this is a different game in that regard, where I think everyone knows how important this match is for Arsenal and for us. I think this is like the true test of Arsenal, like whether or not they've made the jump to the next stage, or if they're still struggling in that best of the rest category, because we've been their bogey team. I think I said it earlier. The stat is they've only beat us once in 14 Premier League games. Last season we won all 4 games we played them against. Did the double over them in the cup, drew once at Anfield and beat them in the second round. But we had our B team for both of those games, so we've really had Arsenal's numbers in the past years. So the importance of this game for their season, and I think for their mentality, their identity of the team, cannot be underplayed. So I think this is going to be one of the toughest Arsenal sides that we've faced in recent years, for more than just the personnel on the pitch. But I'm thinking it will be a pretty hard fought battle. As much as we always see a high score line or a lot of free flowing, I think this is going to be more of a gritty game, and maybe going to finish 1-0, 2-1, something like that. I don't see it being like a 4-1 or a 4-3 or anything crazy like that. I think it's going to be a lot more cagier than that.
Oh man, I don't know how I'm going to cope. Like, my nerves, I'm getting nervous already. Rigo, surely not. Surely not.
Klopp under pressure? No, not at all. I mean, he's on. The entire team is under pressure to perform, but that's nothing new. I don't think that's anything that they're unaccustomed to. Past 5-6 years, we've basically been the only challenger to Man City, and until proven wrong, we're probably still the only challenger to Man City once we get our house in order. No, Klopp is definitely not under no pressure. Today's actually the 7-year anniversary of him being announced officially as our Liverpool's manager, and in those 7 years, he's brought us 7 titles. And the only pressure is to keep repeating that type of success, and he's not going to face any more pressure than he puts on himself and the team. So I don't think that factors into it at all. He's the manager who's on most solid footing, besides I would say Pep Guardiola in the Premier League. He can just name when he wants to go, it'll be the time he goes. I don't think anyone's going to look to fire him at all. And if they did, there'd be, protests on the street. I don't think any of us want to see Klopp gone.
Oh, absolutely. I'll travel all the way up to Liverpool instantly if Jurgen Klopp did get sacked, because I think there's a lot more people to be held accountable before you go for Jurgen Klopp. I think the ownership, I've said it before, I think they're more to blame for the transfers. And ultimately, if we had Jude Bellingham right now and Nicola Barella in midfield, would we be in the situation we're in? I don't know. Ask you. I don't think we would. So, yeah, look, at the end of the day, it is what it is. But after being injured does not help that situation. That is for sure, though. But to end the stream, we'll go with some match predictions. Drew, how do you see the game going?
I think it's going to be a tough one for us. We don't always travel best to Arsenal, a lot of draws, but we got a few wins in there, and they only have one win in the last 14 Premier League games against us. So I'm hoping for another loss on that record for them. 2-1 us.
Endrigo, what about you?
Well, luckily, we do have Michael Oliver refereeing the match tomorrow. And when he's been the head referee in the matches, we're actually undefeated, going with 4 wins and 3 draws in 7 matches. So I'm going to go with one more to the win column and go with a 3-1 victory for Liverpool tomorrow.
I thought he refereed us at Man United. Am I wrong there? I thought he was refereeing that game.
Yes, but these are matchups against Arsenal. We played 7, versus Arsenal. Right. So he's ref 7 so far. We won 3, drew 3.
Sounds. Hopefully that continues then. I'll go with 2-2. I just think in the past I've said gone with really, really sort of overwhelming predictions. Oh yeah, we're going to win 5-0, and yeah, it's ended horribly. And yeah, if I'm being totally honest, I don't think our performances have kind of warranted that confidence yet. Klopp said it in his interview that we need to play good until we start playing brilliantly, and then so on. So I think that's kind of the start. And as soon as we start picking up these performance results, then maybe I might up my prediction. But 2-2 for me. But yeah, that rounds up the stream. Thanks to Rigo and Drew for joining, and everyone else who joined tonight. Really, really appreciate it as always. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. More Arsenal content, and hopefully we can go and get that win.